Throughout this week, we've been talking about the feeding of the 5,000, which, as I said at the beginning, is the only miracle that Jesus performs that we see in all four of the Gospels. And then we also hear about a second episode where Jesus feeds 4,000. And this occurs in Mark chapter 8, for example. And our verse of the day is Mark 8, verse 2, where Jesus says, I have compassion for the crowd because they have been with me now for 3 days and have nothing to eat. In Mark's Gospel, both in chapter 8 with the feeding of the 4,000 and back in chapter 6 with the feeding of the 5,000, we see that what motivates Jesus' action is his compassion. Back in chapter 6, he says in verse 34, and he went ashore, he saw a great crowd, and he had compassion for them because they were like sheep without a shepherd. So in Mark's Gospel, the oldest of the Gospels, the first to be written down, Mark emphasizes that both in the feeding of the 5 and the 4,000, what motivates Jesus is compassion. And friends, as followers of Christ, compassion should mark and distinguish my life and your life. When Jesus looks at people and sees them and they're hungry, they're hurting, they're lonely, they're broken, in the Gospels we hear over and over, Jesus has compassion. And compassion is what Christians should be known for. It's what the Church of Jesus Christ should be known for. Compassion, mercy, caring. And yet I'm afraid there are many, many people who are not believers who look at Christians in the church and they don't experience or see compassion, caring, mercy. What they feel is judgment, contempt, self-righteousness, anger, condemnation. And that's a tragedy. That is not how Christians in the church are to be known. Jesus looks at people and has compassion. What about you? What do you feel when you look at people who are different than you are? They may look differently. They may be of a different socioeconomic class. They may be homeless. They may be refugees. They might be immigrants. They might be poor. They might be hungry, homeless. How do you look at people? They might even vote for people in a different political party than you. When you look at people, do you look at them with compassion or do you look at them through another lens? One of the things we learn from the gospel is when Jesus looks at people, most of the time, he looks at them with compassion. Just about the only people he doesn't look at compassionately are self-righteous, condescending, arrogant, religious people. We don't want to be those kind of people. We want to be Jesus people. We want to look at people with compassion.